Getting into our Entrepreneurs Corner every single day. We get to look at different aspects of entrepreneurship. And today we are, as always, joined by a regular contributor to Good Morning Zimbabwe's Entrepreneurship Corner, and that is Dr. Vere, who is the CEO of Kudzanai Zimbabwe. Doc, good morning and welcome to Good Morning Zimbabwe.
Morning, Zaza. Morning, Zimbabweans.
Always good to have you here.
Thank you.
Today we are talking about annual returns, a term that I think a lot of us, myself included, have always misconstrued. Because when I hear tax return, when I hear returns, the first thing that comes to mind is, Zaza, have you submitted something to tax? And what am I supposed to be getting paid back? So we want to actually get into it in detail. What does this particular term mean when you're saying annual returns?
Well, thank you so much, Zaza, for that question. No, like I've explained today, we're going to be talking about annual returns, not tax related.
Yes.
But a registrar of companies related.
Right.
You know, once you register your company with the registrar of companies, you know, the new Companies Act, which is called Companies and Other Entities Act, Chapter 24.31, stipulates in Section 165 that after every year, you need to submit what they call annual returns. This is a statutory and mandatory return that each and every company registered must make and file with the registrar of companies within 21 days of its anniversary year.
Right.
What do we mean by that? For instance, we register your company today, which is the 30th of May. So 30th of May next year, you are given 21 days to submit.
Into June now.
Yes, into June to submit such an annual return. What is it for, and why should you bother submitting such a return? You know, this return now stipulates or states within it, obviously, the name of your company, the shareholdings, the shareholders and company secretaries and the auditors of that particular company, the number of shares that the company has, with their specifications and debentures, how many shares were issued, how many shares were also paid. This report is very important because, you know, there are scammers, obviously fraudsters and stuff who can probably hijack your company somehow, or in the event that there is a dispute that arises within your directorship, one other director can just obviously go and make changes within the registrar. Then you think the company is still yours and the others, while it has been taken already.
Right.
So once we have that return now, it then speaks into the current state of affairs as per the shareholdings, the address of the company, whether it's changed. Yeah, that's the reason why that kind of form is important. Let me also move to this other dimension that when you want also to change, to make some changes within your company, you want to add your little sister into your company, you want to add this other investor from UK or wherever who wants to invest into your company. You can't successfully do so if you were not submitting these annual returns.
Right.
So you see to it that a lot of organizations, they fall into that trap. Within our consultancy firm, one would want to change the directors, and that's changing obviously the CRR6.
Yes.
We are facing challenges whereby we have to be filing 10 years back returns for the 10 years that they were not submitting returns.
Right.
So that would be expensive now to this organization because each and every return goes on with a fee.
Yes.
So it is important for those that have registered companies to make sure that every year they get the forms completed and submitted with the registrar of companies.
Doc, one of the things that I wanted to ask, especially because this is assuming these are big organizations or big corporates, what happens to us with the small companies where it's just myself, the single entity PBCs, where it's just the one shareholder? Do I still need to also pay that annual return at the end of my calendar year of operations?
Okay, with PBCs, that is not the case. It applies to private limited companies only.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Private limited companies, you know, you mentioned of those big organizations. We want
Yes.
to remove that big organizations mentality from people, because people would assume that company returns are for those big organizations, the OKs, the TMs, and the Richards and stuff.
Yes.
Once you register your company as a private limited company, you know, if you private limited company is 2 people up to 50.
Yes.
Maybe yourself and someone else, your friend, myself and my wife.
Yes.
It's mandatory that we submit that return. Yeah.
And then this return, is it a certain percentage of the actual gross, the gross money that we've, gross income, or is it part of the net income? How is that even charged?
But there is a small amount that is required by the registrar of companies,
right,
that accompanies the return. It has nothing to do with your volume of activity.
Okay.
It has all to do with updating your file with the registrar in terms of do you still have the same directors that you had when you registered,
okay,
or a lot of things changed along the way. Maybe there were some shares which were taken up, the number of shares that are fully paid, you know, like I'm saying, changes would happen within the year. So it is mandatory that you then update the registrar of such issues. It's just a return that makes sure that your file with the registrar is up to date as at that current status.
Absolutely. Doc, always a pleasure having you come through and just explaining some of these very, very key concepts to us. I think a lot of, myself included, I would have just thought this is a tax issue, but it's actually a company registrar's issue. So very grateful that you've come in and broken it down for us in terms of what annual returns are all about. Thank you so much for coming through and telling us about that. Where can we find you on social media?
We are on social media as Kudford. We are on Kudford Zimbabwe, on Facebook page, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I am on 0772 592 232. That's my mobile.
Fantastic. Many thanks there, Dr. Vere, coming through and talking to us about annual returns. Very important for us here in our Entrepreneurs Corner every single day.